Ryan's office revenge.
At 09:30 hours on Tuesday, they fired me. By 14:30, I'd frozen their $750 million empire solid. Here's how 22 years of loyalty turned into the perfect revenge. The name's Garrett Rodriguez, but everyone calls me Tank. I'm 49 years old, and for the past 22 years, I've been the invisible backbone holding Ashford Freight Systems together. You don't know me, but if you bought corn in Chicago, beef in Denver, or farm equipment after a tornado, I'm the reason it got there on time. I run logistics for a $750 million operation moving 1,800 trucks across the Midwest. That's corporate speak for the guy who makes sure America eats. I don't have a corner office with leather chairs. I've got a desk that smells like diesel fuel and coffee, buried in the operational heart of the building where the real work happens, and I like it that way. The constant hum of CB radios lets me hear the pulse of the road. Before I tell you exactly how I dismantled this freight empire with surgical precision, let me give you some context. I spent 12 years in the Army, running supply convoys in Afghanistan. Lost 3 good soldiers because some pencil pusher delayed our ammo resupply. Swore I'd never let logistics failures cost lives again. That's why when civilians screw with the supply chain, I take it personal. The trouble started when old Harold Ashford retired to his golf course in Arizona. Harold was a bastard, sure, but he was a bastard who understood that freight moves on trust and timing. We had an understanding. I kept his trucks rolling, he kept the paychecks coming and stayed out of my way. Then came his son, Brady. Brady Ashford, 32 years old, MBA from some fancy school his daddy bought him into. Kid had teeth so white they looked radioactive and suits that cost more than most people's cars. He walked into that CEO office like he owned the world, which technically he did. First week, Brady installed a meditation room. Second week, he hired this woman, Savannah Mills, as Chief Culture Officer. That's corporate speak for his girlfriend with a gender studies degree who needed a paycheck. Third week, he was walking around talking about disrupting the antiquated trucking industry. I kept my head down. I'm a professional. Survived 3 deployments, 2 recessions, and a cyber attack that had me routing trucks with paper maps and payphone calls. I figured I could survive Brady too. The friction wasn't immediate. It was like a slow leak in a hydraulic line. Brady didn't like me. I was legacy. I was analog. I was a middle-aged guy in work boots who preferred CB radio to Slack because when a driver's stuck in a blizzard, you don't send him an emoji. To Brady, I was obsolete. To me, he was like a second lieutenant fresh out of West Point. Dangerous because he had authority but zero field experience. The breaking point came during harvest season. Peak time, everything moving at once. Corn from Iowa, soybeans from Illinois, wheat from Kansas. I was working 14-hour days, coordinating with farmers whose entire year depended on getting crops to market before the weather turned. That's when the email landed. Subject: Mandatory Team Building Excellence Retreat. Brady wanted all senior staff at some resort in Wisconsin for a weekend of trust exercises and corporate synergy workshops. Same weekend, I had 40 trucks moving temperature-sensitive grain shipments for drought-affected farmers. I hit reply: Brady, can't make the retreat. Got critical agricultural loads running Saturday. One delay could cost these farmers their entire season. My son Jake's counting on that pension fund staying intact too. Have a good weekend. Tank, professional, respectful, reasonable. I was wrong to think that mattered. Monday morning, the office felt different. You know that feeling when the barometric pressure drops before a storm hits? The CB chatter was too quiet. Dispatchers were avoiding eye contact. I sat down, booted up my ancient computer, took a sip of truck stop coffee. My login failed, access denied. Server issues, I muttered, trying again. Access denied. I was reaching for the phone when I heard expensive shoes clicking across the concrete floor. Brady's voice boomed behind me, Tank. I spun my chair around. There he was, flanked by Savannah holding a tablet, and 2 security guards who looked like they'd rather be fishing. System down? I asked, though my gut already knew the answer. We're restructuring for operational efficiency, Brady said, adjusting his power tie. Your unwillingness to embrace team culture was the final indicator of poor culture fit. I stared at him. The silence stretched tight as a load strap. You're firing me because I chose work over your trust exercises. It's about alignment. Savannah chimed in, her voice all corporate buzzwords and zero substance. We need people who vibrate on our frequency. I looked at Savannah. I looked at Brady. I looked at the security guards. "Brady," I said, my voice deadly calm. "I manage contracts for 800 suppliers. I'm the authorized signatory for the Port of Chicago, Teamsters Local 705, and the Agricultural Transport Alliance. Those relationships don't transfer to your corporate cloud." Brady laughed, ugly sound. "Everyone's replaceable, Tank. That's Business 101 badge. Now." I looked at my desk, the CB radio crackling with driver chatter, the framed photo of my son Jake in his mechanic's uniform, the coffee mug from my army unit. I stood up slow and deliberate. I didn't yell, didn't beg, didn't flip tables. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my ID badge, and dropped it in Brady's manicured hand. "Roger that," I said. "Tell your old man I said good luck." "My father's in Arizona," Brady sneered. "He doesn't care about the help. He will," I said, grabbing my jacket and Jake's photo. "By 1400 hours, your first truck convoy's gonna hit the way station in Toledo. By 1430, your entire network's gonna realize the heart just got ripped out of the body." I walked out. Elevator doors closed on Brady's smug face. I checked my watch. 0930 hours. Time to execute Operation Shutdown. The parking lot air tasted like diesel fumes and freedom. I walked to my 2018 Ford F9S250, the one with battle scars from 1,000 loading dock encounters. Tossed my jacket and Jake's photo onto the passenger seat. Most people, when they get fired after 22 years, they panic. They think about the mortgage, health insurance, their identity. Part of me was running those calculations. I'm a single dad. Jake's tuition at trade school isn't cheap. That $20 million pension fund better stay intact. 400 drivers counting on it, including me. But another part of me, the part that survived convoy duty in hostile territory, was already shifting into tactical mode. Except this time, I wasn't defending the convoy. I was the incoming threat. I pulled out my personal cell. Thank God I never mixed business with personal communications. My contact list read like a who's who of Midwest logistics. Not official channels, but the emergency numbers. The ones they called when things went sideways. I didn't send a mass email. That's amateur hour. Looks like sabotage. I needed surgical strikes, precision targeting. I typed out a message, effective immediately. Garrett Rodriguez is no longer employed by Ashford Freight Systems. I am no longer authorized to sign off on safety protocols, rate negotiations, or equipment certifications. Per Clause 7B of our standard service agreements, key personnel changes trigger automatic credit review. Please contact Brady Ashford, CEO, for all future authorizations. Clause 7B. The kill switch I'd built into every major contract years ago when Ashford was expanding fast and vendors were nervous about getting paid. Simple clause that said if the key relationship manager me left the company, vendors could pause service until they vetted the replacement. Brady didn't know about Clause 7B. Brady probably thought service agreements were something you signed on an iPad. I hit send. First, email to Allied Agricultural Transport. Send. Midwest Grain Haulers Consortium. Send. Chicago Port Authority Freight Division. Send. Took me 30 minutes, working down the list alphabetically. Each send was like pulling a pin from a grenade. Every ping cost Ashford about $100,000 in delayed revenue. My phone buzzed immediately. Holt Morrison from Teamsters Local 705, voice like gravel in a blender. "Tank, what the hell's this email? Just got a bounce back from your work address saying user unknown. I'm out, Holt," I said, leaning back in the driver's seat. Brady cut me loose this morning. "Culture fit issues. Culture fit," Holt barked a laugh. "Does this college boy know we got 200 drivers moving grain loads today? Temperature-sensitive cargo that'll spoil if we sit around? My guys don't roll without your safety authorization. That'd be Brady's problem now. Or maybe Savannah can vibrate the safety protocols into compliance. Yeah, right. You ain't signing off. The trucks don't roll. Clause 7B, correct?" "Clause 7B, I confirmed. Copy that, Tank. Trucks are parking. Enjoy your day off. One domino down." I fired up the F-250 and drove to my command post, Rusty's truck stop on Route 88. Greasy spoon with vinyl booths, coffee that could strip paint, and eggs cooked in grease older than Brady. Perfect. I walked in. Brenda the waitress knew me. Many late nights here waiting for delayed drivers. Coffee, Tank, keep it coming, Brenda. And I need the Wi-Fi password. Set up my laptop on the sticky table. Phone started buzzing immediately. Incoming call, Swift Agricultural Logistics. Incoming call, Iowa Grain Transport. Incoming call, Brady Ashford, work. I stared at Brady's name flashing on the screen. Let it ring. He called again. Let it ring again. Took a sip of the paint stripper coffee. Tasted like victory. I opened my tracking app, publicly available system that monitored truck movements. Red dots were appearing across the map. Red meant stationary for more than 30 minutes. Cluster of red dots forming outside Chicago. That'd be the grain terminal. The security codes for the loading bays updated weekly. I used to text the new codes to drivers every Monday. Today was Tuesday. The system required manual authorization reset. I hadn't done the reset before Brady escorted me out. Brady probably thought those gates opened by magic or the sheer force of his business degree. Phone buzzed. Text from unknown number, 312 area code. Mr. Rodriguez, this is Peterson. Dispatch for Central Illinois Ag Transport. Our drivers are locked out of the Ashford Terminal in Chicago. Your office is unresponsive. Are we in breach? I typed back. Mr. Peterson, I no longer work for Ashford. Refer to Clause 7B. Cannot authorize access. Good luck. 3 minutes later, another red dot appeared on my map. Chicago Terminal was frozen. My phone lit up like a Christmas tree. Every vendor, every driver, every partner I'd worked with over 2 decades was calling. The network was realizing the nerve center had been severed. At 12:30 hours, my phone rang. Not Brady this time. The frantic voice of Savannah Mills. This is Tank, I answered. Voice calm and professional. Tank, she shrieked. Sounded like she was hyperventilating. You have to give us the access codes. The drivers are calling the police, Savannah. I don't have access codes. They're on the server. We can't get into the server. It keeps asking for authentication sent to your phone. That's two-factor authentication. Very important for cybersecurity. Military-grade protection. Give me the code. Can't do it, Savannah. I'm a civilian now. Sharing security credentials with unauthorized personnel violates federal cybersecurity laws. I could face prosecution. Silence. Stunned silence. Brady says you're holding the company hostage. Brady terminated my employment effective immediately. That means my security clearance is revoked. If I give you that code, I'm committing a federal crime. Won't break the law for a company I don't work for. I'm putting you on speaker. Tank. Brady's voice, tight with barely controlled panic. Stop playing games. Give us the code or I'm suing you for corporate sabotage. Brady, you fired me for culture fit. Said I was replaceable. Surely your agile leadership team can figure out password recovery through your IT provider. We called IT. They said the account administrator has to authorize reset. That's you. Sounds like a flaw in your org chart. I'd suggest calling IT's emergency line. Costs about $5,000 per hour, but they can override it in maybe 24 hours, 24 hours. Brady exploded. We have 300 tons of soybeans sitting in Iowa. It'll spoil. Soybeans are tricky. Time-sensitive commodity. Did you renew the climate control contracts for the storage facilities? Those expire monthly. I usually handle that manually because the automated system glitches. Thud sounded like someone punching a desk. Fix this. Tank. Come back and maybe we won't destroy you. Are you offering me my job back? I'm offering you a chance to not be ruined. No thanks. I'm busy. Got some classic truck restoration to catch up on. Very therapeutic. I hung up. Hand was shaking slightly. Not from fear, but from adrenaline. I just hung up on a CEO. Felt pretty good. Checked my map. More red dots. Miami cold storage facility. That'd be the refrigerated units losing power because the fuel cards bounced. I texted Royce Jackson, the cold storage foreman. Royce, it's Tank. I'm out. The kid's driving the bus off a cliff. Fuel cards are gonna bounce. Don't let the driver sit there burning diesel. Hook up to shore power at your facility. Emergency contingency account 775-1B. I set it up 2 years ago. Royce texted back. Roger, Tank. Heard the news. We got you. Screw the rich kid. We'll save the product, but no trucks move till you say so. That's when I realized I wasn't unemployed. I was freelance. My currency was influence, built over 22 years of keeping my word and taking care of people. Time to be proactive. I thought about who'd benefit most from Ashford's collapse. Global Transport Corporation. Their regional VP, Clayton Weber, had been trying to recruit me for years. I always said no out of loyalty to Harold. Loyalty's a two-way street. Brady had just paved over it with his BMW. I dialed Clayton's number. He answered immediately. Tank Rodriguez, what do I owe the pleasure? I'm available, Clayton. Available? Fired this morning. Pause? Expensive pause. Where are you? Rusty's truck stop. Route 88. Stay there. I'm sending a car. Clayton, one thing. I'm not coming alone. I'm bringing the Port of Chicago, Teamsters Local 705, and the Agricultural Transport Alliance. I'll send the limo. Black Lincoln Town car pulls up to a truck stop, sticks out like a diamond in a coal pile. Driver opens the door. I grab my laptop bag and climb in. Smells like success and air freshener. As we cruise toward downtown Chicago, I check the industry news on my phone. Nothing on mainstream media yet. Logistics is boring until it breaks. But the trade websites are lighting up. Transport Topics headline. Ashford Systems reports major IT outage. Grain shipments stalled. Freight Insider. Who is Tank Rodriguez? Why truckers won't roll for Ashford. I'm trending in the nerdiest corner of the internet. Fame is weird. Then a news alert pops up that makes my blood run cold. Breaking. Incident report. Ashford freight vehicle involved in multi-truck pileup on I-80. Hazmat spill reported. I call Holt immediately. He answers before the first ring completes. Tank, tell me you saw the news. I saw it. Was it one of our guys? No, but listen, it was a scab driver. Non-union guy Brady hired off some app an hour ago because we refused to move the load. My stomach drops. What kind of load? Industrial solvent. The kid didn't have hazmat endorsement. Tank took a curve too fast, jackknifed. Leaked chemicals all over the interstate. EPA's on scene. This isn't just a delay anymore. This is federal. This isn't just business anymore. This is what happens when you put profits over people, convenience over competence. Some kid's in the hospital because Brady was too arrogant to admit he needed me. Driver okay? He's alive. Banged up bad, but Ashford's done. Tank. DOT's gonna ground the entire fleet for safety audit, mandatory suspension of operations. I arrive at Global Transport Headquarters. 40-story glass tower that screams competence and money. Clayton Weber's waiting in the lobby. Looks like a general who won every war he fought. Tank, he extends his hand. You look energized. I look unemployed, Clayton, and there's been a development. Hazmat spill on I-80.0's shutting Ashford down completely. His eyes widened. Stock's going to zero. Brady doesn't just need a lawyer now. He needs a miracle. We take the elevator to the 35th floor. His office has a view of the entire city, including the actual smoke rising from I-80 where hazmat crews are working. Whiskey, coffee, got work to do. Clayton pours coffee from a machine that probably costs more than my truck. Our dispatch center's been flooded with requests. Ashford loads hitting the spot market. Rates going through the roof. Brady's panicking. He's trying to cover the loads but doesn't have the driver relationships. Plus my boys won't roll for him anyway. What do you want, Tank? VP title? Corner office? We can beat your salary by 20%. I don't want a job, Clayton. I want autonomy. I want to build a division within global strategic agricultural operations. I bring my vendor network, my driver relationships, my reputation. I run it my way. No interference from your marketing department. I report to you, period. You're asking for your own kingdom. I'm offering you an empire. By tomorrow, their major clients, ADM, Cargill, Tyson Foods, will be looking for a lifeboat. I can be that lifeboat. Clayton smiles. Predators smile, but honest. Deal. But I need the Port of Chicago transferred immediately. We've got grain backing up, done. Get me a contract, my phone buzzes. Text from Jake. Dad, seeing news about Ashford on trucking websites. You okay? I text back. Affirmative, son. Tactical redeployment in progress. Focus on your welding cert. This is handled. While we're waiting for legal to draw up contracts, my phone rings. Spencer Barnes, Ashford's lawyer. Tank, you need to know. Harold's plane just landed. He doesn't know about the accident yet, but he knows the stock's crashing. He's furious. Thanks for the heads up, Spencer. I grab my jacket. Clayton, draw up those papers. I got to meet a very angry father. Drove to the private airfield where Harold's Gulfstream was scheduled. Parked by the fence, watching his jet taxi to the hangar. The stairs lowered. Harold Ashford descended like a storm cloud with legs. He was on his phone shouting. Even from 50 yards, I could see rage radiating off him. He looked around for his car, saw nothing, then saw my F-250. I rolled down the window. He stormed over, coat flapping. You, he roared, pointing. You destroyed everything I built. Get in, Harold, I said, using his first name for the first time in 22 years. He stopped. Shock silenced him. Get in. Your driver's not coming. Brady fired dispatch, so nobody coordinated pickup. Flight's early anyway. I'm the only ride you got." He stared at the empty parking lot, looked at his phone, probably blowing up with disaster reports, yanked the door open, climbed in. "Drive," he growled, and explained why my life's work is worth half what it was this morning. Seatbelt. Harold. It's a long story. Starts with trust exercises and ends with your son's incompetence. We peeled out onto the highway. "You destroyed my legacy," he said, staring out the window. "No, Harold. I built your legacy. Brady destroyed it. I just stopped holding the pieces together." Mile of silence, then the accident. Spencer mentioned hazmat spill on I-80. "Your son hired an unqualified driver through a smartphone app because my union guys wouldn't roll. Kids in the hospital, EPA's scrubbing chemicals off the interstate. Dots grounding your entire fleet." He turned to look at me, eyes like blue steel. "How bad? Bad. EPA fines will bankrupt your liquid reserves. That's before wrongful injury lawsuits when investigators find out your CEO hired a non-certified driver for hazmat cargo. So you want your job back? Raise? Want me to fire Brady? I don't want my job back, Harold. I'm done just doing this courtesy ride so you don't hear it from CNN. Hear what? That I'm taking the entire supply network to global transport. Port of Chicago signed the transfer 2 hours ago. Most of your vendors are following." Silence in the truck was deafening. Sound of an empire ending. "You wouldn't, I already did. Clayton Weber made me an offer I couldn't refuse. VP of Strategic Agricultural Operations, my own division, full autonomy. Strange thing happened. He slumped back and started laughing. Dry, bitter chuckle. Clause 7B, he muttered. "I remember when you wrote that. Told you it was overkill. It was insurance, Harold. You just cashed the policy." We were approaching headquarters. Police lights flashing, news vans on the lawn, EPA hazmat trucks. Looked like a federal crime scene. "Drop me at the loading dock," he said. Drove around back to where I'd started 22 years ago. He opened the door, paused, tank. "If I fire Brady right now, clean house completely, will you stay?" I looked at the loading dock, the crumbling concrete, the empire I'd built with sweat and stress and 22 years of my life. Negative, Harold. Too much damage done, but I'll make you a deal. What kind of deal? That $20 million pension fund your son's about to lose to legal fees? Those 400 drivers counting on retirement? Global will assume the liability if you sell us Ashford's assets for $1. Clean transfer. Your people keep their benefits. His face went white. Sell my company for $1? Harold, it's worth less than that right now. I'm offering you a clean exit and a way to take care of your people. Long pause. The weight of 72 years settling on his shoulders. "Do it," he said quietly. "Save the pensions. I'll sign whatever you need." He got out, walked toward the chaos. A king returning to bury his kingdom. 3 months later, I'm sitting in my new office at Global Transport. Glass wall overlooking the port. I can see cranes loading containers onto ships. Some still have faded Ashford logos, but they're moving on global bills of lading now. The pension fund transfer went through. All 400 drivers kept their benefits. Holt Morrison sent me a plaque to tank. "We roll when you say roll." It hangs next to my Army commendation. Brady got 18 months federal prison for embezzlement and safety violations. Savannah's podcast about surviving toxic masculinity lasted 3 episodes before her sponsors dropped her. Harold's in Arizona permanently. Sent me a case of wine with a note. "To the best logistics officer I ever served under. I opened a bottle last week. Tasted like respect." My assistant Quincy walks in. Daily briefing, tank fleet. Utilization up 23%. Customer satisfaction highest in company history. 0 safety incidents. The machine's humming perfectly. Phone rings. Tank Rodriguez's office. Grain emergency in Nebraska. Quincy says, "Early frost warning. They need 150 trucks by dawn." I put on my headset, pull up the route planning software. Let's move some freight. That evening, I drive home to my apartment. Jake's there visiting from trade school. He's got grease under his fingernails and pride in his eyes. "Dad," he says, "my instructor heard about what you did. Said you're a legend in logistics circles now." I'm not a legend, son. I'm just a guy who knows how systems work. And sometimes, when people take those systems for granted, you gotta remind them what happens when they break. But you didn't just break it, you fixed it better. I look at my son, 19 years old, working with his hands, building something real, everything I fought for. That's the thing about competence, Jake. It doesn't just tear down, it builds up. The working guys, we're the ones who keep America running. When the suits forget that, we remind them. 6 months later, Jake graduates trade school with honors, calls me his hero. Funny thing is, I didn't destroy Ashford to be a hero. I did it because sometimes competence has to remind privilege who really runs the world. And in America, that's still us working guys who know how to get things done. The pension fund's secure, the drivers are working, the freight keeps moving. And somewhere in Arizona, Harold Ashford is learning that respect isn't inherited, it's earned, one honest day's work at a time. Thanks for listening, brothers. Sometimes the system needs a hard reboot. Sometimes you gotta pull the plug before you can power back up stronger. Hit that subscribe if you believe competence beats connections every single time. Tank out. In 22 years, I learned that systems don't run on technology or money. They run on relationships and trust. Break that trust. And no amount of corporate buzzwords can hold the machine together. The real power in America isn't in corner offices or board meetings. It's in the hands of people who actually know how to make things work. And when we decide to stop working, the whole house of cards comes down.